This is the story of the Intihuatana Stone at Machu Picchu, a rock that an empire believed could literally keep the sun from disappearing forever, that survived centuries of deliberate destruction by Spanish conquerors, that inspired the character Indiana Jones, and that was irreparably damaged in the year 2000 by a falling crane during the filming of a beer commercial. The Intihuatana Stone at Machu Picchu stands as one of the most enigmatic artifacts on the planet, and nobody can tell you with absolute certainty what it was built to do. Not a single archaeologist, historian, or astronomer has cracked this mystery. Sometime around 1420 to 1450 AD, the Inca Emperor Pachacuti Inca Yupanqui ordered the construction of what we now call Machu Picchu. You need to understand the scale of ambition here. This was not just a city, but a royal estate, perched nearly 2.5 miles above sea level in the Andes Mountains, built without mortar, without iron tools, without the wheel. Just human hands, stone implements, and an almost frightening level of precision. At the very highest point of this already impossibly high city, Pachacuti's builders carved something extraordinary. They took a massive slab of gray granite, part of the mountain itself, and sculpted it into a form unlike anything else in the ancient world. A complex arrangement of surfaces, planes, and angles, topped with a column that tilts exactly 13 degrees to the north. The whole structure stands 1 to 2 meters tall, roughly 2 meters in diameter, and its 4 sides align perfectly with the cardinal directions. This is the Intihuatana. The name itself sparks controversy. Intihuatana comes from Quechua, the language of the Inca. Inti means sun, huata means to tie or to hitch, and the suffix na indicates a tool or a place. Literally translated, Intihuatana becomes the place where you tie up the sun, or as it is often poetically called in English, the hitching post of the sun. But here is the thing. This almost certainly was not what the Inca actually called it. The Inca had no written language. No records survived beyond their quipu, the complex system of knotted strings used for record keeping. The name Intihuatana was likely coined or popularized by Hiram Bingham, the American explorer who brought Machu Picchu to the world's attention in 1911. Some scholars refer to similar stones as Saiwa or Sukanka, but the truth is we do not know the original name, and we probably never will. The myth behind that name reveals something fascinating. The Inca believed that certain stones, carved in specific ways and placed in particular locations, could literally prevent the sun from disappearing. Their mythology held that on critical dates throughout the year, priests would perform ceremonies to tie the sun onto these stones, ensuring it would return the next day. Even the Inca understood something that modern astrophysicists would confirm thousands of years later. If the sun goes out, all life ends. Think about that from a leadership perspective. The Sapa Inca, the divine emperor of the vast empire they called Tawantinsuyu, was considered a direct child of the sun god Inti. If you control the instrument that keeps the sun in the sky, you control everything. The Intihuatana was not just a religious artifact, but a tool of political power. It reinforced the divine right of the emperor to rule. Every ceremony at its base was a public demonstration that the Sapa Inca stood between civilization and darkness. This connection to sun worship was not unique to Machu Picchu. In the capital city of Cusco, the Inca built Coricancha, the Temple of the Sun, whose walls were once covered in sheets of gold. But while Coricancha served as the empire's primary solar temple, the Intihuatana at Machu Picchu represented something more intimate, a personal connection between the royal family and their celestial father. This is why the Spanish targeted them. When the Spanish conquistadors swept through Peru in the 16th century, they didn't just conquer territory. they waged a systematic war against Inca religion. Viceroy Francisco de Toledo and the Catholic clergy understood exactly what these stones represented. They grasped the political liability of allowing a conquered people to maintain their connection to a competing god. So they destroyed every Intihuatana they could find, smashed them, toppled them, erased them from the landscape. They almost succeeded, almost, but they never found Machu Picchu. The city had been abandoned sometime around 1530 to 1540, during the chaos of the Spanish conquest. The jungle reclaimed it. Vines crawled over the walls, trees split through the terraces, and the Intihuatana, sitting at the highest point of a hidden city in the clouds, survived untouched for nearly 400 years. There are hundreds of Intihuatanas scattered across Peru, but most are fragments, ruins, barely recognizable stumps of what they once were. The one at Pisac is actually larger and more complete in some ways, but the Intihuatana at Machu Picchu was found perfectly intact in 1911, making it arguably the most significant surviving example of Inca astronomical and religious engineering in existence. The story of how Machu Picchu was found is almost as remarkable as the city itself. Hiram Bingham III was not an archaeologist. The man who made one of the most important archaeological discoveries of the 20th century was not a trained archaeologist. He was a lecturer and professor of South American history at Yale University, an adventurer, a politician, and later a United States senator. And yes, he is widely considered a primary inspiration for the movie character Indiana Jones, though technically the chain of inspiration runs through a 1954 Charlton Heston film called Secret of the Incas first. The character of Harry Steele in that film was based on Bingham, and Indiana Jones was later inspired by Steele. Here is something else they do not tell you. Bingham was not even the first outsider to reach Machu Picchu. A Peruvian explorer named Agustín Lizarraga, along with companions Enrique Palma and Gabino Sanchez, reportedly reached the site in 1901, a full decade before Bingham arrived. But Lizarraga did not have Yale University behind him. He did not have the National Geographic Society. He did not write a best-selling book called Lost City of the Incas in 1948. Bingham's identification of Machu Picchu as the lost city of the Incas was actually misidentified. The real last stronghold of the Inca was Vilcabamba, deep in the jungle, where the final Inca rulers resisted Spanish rule until 1572. But Bingham's dramatic narrative captured the world's imagination. On July 24, 1911, a local farmer named Melchor Arteaga guided Bingham through the jungle and up to the ruins. The site had been largely forgotten by everyone except the small number of families living in the immediately neighboring valley. Between 1911 and 1915, Bingham conducted 3 major expeditions, excavating and documenting the site. In 1913, National Geographic published a major feature that introduced Machu Picchu, and by extension, the Intihuatana, to the world. Then in 1920, something critical happened. A German astronomer named Rolf Müller turned his attention to the stone. Müller discovered that the 2 largest sides of the Intihuatana faced 25.5 degrees off magnetic north and 27.5 degrees off magnetic west. These were not random angles, but deliberate alignments, and they corresponded to solar positions at specific times of the year. This is where the debate that has raged for over a century really ignites. On one side, you have the astronomical clock theory, and the evidence is genuinely compelling. At midday on March 21st and September 21st, the spring and fall equinoxes, the sun stands almost directly above the pillar of the Intihuatana, and it casts no shadow at all. 0 shadow. Think about the engineering precision required to achieve that with a hand-carved granite pillar 13 degrees off vertical, over 10,000 feet above sea level, in the 15th century. On June 21st, the winter solstice in the southern hemisphere, the stone casts its longest shadow on its southern side. On December 21st, the summer solstice, it casts a much shorter shadow on its northern side. Researchers have found that at midday on November 11th and January 30th, the sun stands almost exactly above the pillar, again casting no shadow. These are dates that correspond to important agricultural cycles. If you are running an empire that depends on agriculture, knowing exactly when to plant and when to harvest is not a luxury, it is a matter of survival. The Intihuatana may have functioned as a precision calendar, a tool that allowed Inca priests and administrators to track the passage of seasons with remarkable accuracy. But here's where the skeptics push back. Many modern scholars argue that calling the Intihuatana a solar clock dramatically oversimplifies what it actually was. The stone's complex surfaces and angles do not all correspond to solar events. Some alignments point toward sacred mountains on the horizon. Others seem oriented toward specific stars. And then there is the base of the stone, which features a stepped recess that looks unmistakably like an altar for offerings and sacrifices. The Inca worldview recognized three levels of existence: Hanan Pacha, the spiritual world above; Ke Pacha, the present world; and Uku Pacha, the underworld below. The Intihuatana, sitting at the highest point of Machu Picchu, was believed to serve as a focal point connecting all three realms. It was not just measuring time, but anchoring the cosmos. A third camp of researchers argues the answer is simply both. The Intihuatana served practical astronomical functions and profound spiritual ones simultaneously. This actually makes the most sense when you understand Inca culture. To the Inca, there was no separation between science and religion. Tracking the sun was worship. Agriculture was ceremony. The idea that a single stone could be both a calendar and an altar would not have seemed contradictory to them at all. There is also the energy theory, which is less academically rigorous but culturally significant. For generations, visitors to Machu Picchu believed the Intihuatana was a focal point of positive energy, channeled from the surrounding mountains into the stone. People would place their hands on it, close their eyes, and try to absorb what they felt emanating from the granite. Whether you believe in that sort of thing or not, it speaks to the enduring power this object holds over the human imagination. Which brings us to September 8th, 2000, and this is where the story takes a turn that honestly makes my blood boil. A production crew arrived at Machu Picchu to film a beer commercial. The ad was for Cusquena beer, produced by Cervezur, a subsidiary of Peru's largest beer company, Bacchus and Johnston. The advertising agency was J. Walter Thompson, one of the most prestigious ad firms in the world. They had a permit from Peru's National Institute of Culture, the INC, but that permit specifically stated that only light equipment could be used. No heavy machinery, no cranes. The INC had explicitly prohibited the use of a crane at the site. According to Gustavo Manrique, the INC's director in Cusco, the production crew sneaked a crane into the sanctuary at dawn, before inspectors arrived. Then the thing that every archaeologist and preservationist fears most happened. The crane fell over. A 1,000-pound piece of modern machinery toppled onto a 500-year-old sacred stone. The damage reports vary slightly. Some accounts describe a chip about the size of a ballpoint pen tip, while other reports describe a section roughly 700 millimeters by 500 millimeters that was knocked off the southern upper vertex of the stone. Either way, the damage was irreparable. You cannot glue a sacred granite artifact back together. Federico Kaufmann Doig, one of Peru's most prestigious archaeologists, said it best: "Machu Picchu is the heart of our archaeological heritage, and the Intihuatana is the heart of Machu Picchu. They have struck at our most sacred inheritance. Meanwhile, Carlos de la Flor, Servisur's regional manager, released a statement that is an absolute masterclass in corporate non-apology. Although we do not feel responsible for this regrettable event, we are committed to help clear up what happened. Read that again. We do not feel responsible. For a crane they brought to a site where cranes were explicitly forbidden. For a crew that sneaked in at dawn, specifically to avoid the people whose job it was to prevent exactly this. J. Walter Thompson denied that the crane was sneaked in under cover of darkness, but the INC's account was damning, and the legal system ultimately agreed. On November 3, 2005, more than 5 years after the incident, a local court in Urubamba sentenced crane operator Walter Leonidas Espinoza to 6 years in prison for destruction and alteration of cultural goods. 6 years for a beer commercial. This single event changed everything about how the Intihuatana is experienced. Since 2000, touching the stone has been permanently prohibited. A security guard watches over the structure at all times. The area is cordoned off. If you visit Machu Picchu today, in 2025, you can only access the Intihuatana between 7 and 10 in the morning, through a specific circuit route called Circuit 2. You can look at it, you can photograph it, but you will never place your hands on its surface. An experience that connected hundreds of thousands of visitors to something ancient and powerful, gone forever because somebody wanted to sell beer. But here is what I find most remarkable about this whole story. Despite everything, despite the conquest, despite the destruction of every other Intihuatana the Spanish could find, despite the centuries of jungle reclamation, despite a modern crane falling on it during a commercial shoot, this stone endures. In 2021, a Yale study led by Professor Richard Berger of Yale University used 26 radiocarbon measurements to revise the chronology of Machu Picchu, pushing its earliest occupation back to around 1420. That study's conclusion was striking. The discussion of the development of the Inca Empire, based primarily on colonial records, needs revision. Modern radiocarbon methods provide a better foundation than the historical records. In other words, we are still learning. The Intihuatana still has secrets to reveal. Modern astronomers continue to study its alignments. Archaeologists continue to debate its purpose. And every year, hundreds of thousands of people climb to the highest point of Machu Picchu to stand in the presence of a carved granite pillar that a 15th century emperor built to keep the sun from going out. Was it a clock? An altar? A political weapon? A cosmic anchor? The honest answer is that we do not fully know, and maybe that is the point. Maybe the most powerful artifact is not the one that gives you all the answers, but the one that keeps you asking questions 600 years later. The Inca carved the Intihuatana out of living mountain rock, aligned it with the movements of the heavens, and placed it at the highest point of a city in the clouds. The Spanish tried to erase it. Time tried to bury it. A beer company tried to film a commercial on top of it. And it is still there.